Hello chess friends and welcome to Zadov's chess channel and welcome to the Magnus Carlsen Invitational tournament in 2020 semifinals. So yesterday Hikaru Nakamura made it to the finals by winning the match game against Fabiano Caruana. Today's other semifinal was the game between Magnus Carlsen and Liren. So in this group stage Liren managed to win the match game against Magnus Carlsen with a result of 3-1. But this is now a whole new game because in that match game, Magnus Carlsen, I think, tried some different openings because the game was basically played for prestige. Today, I think we'll have this great battles between the two top grandmasters. Now we have, of course, the first seeded player against the third seeded player. So this is, I think, the best that we can see really in the semifinals. So let's check out what happened in the first round. In the first game, Liren managed to get a draw against Magnus. Now it was Liren who played with the white pieces, Magnus here with black. So e4 played by Ding, and we have e5 by Magnus, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, the Italian game. We have bishop to c5, still common theory, and in some occasions you can try maybe c3, d4 pawn breakthroughs. It can be met with some knight to f6 ideas. In the game, Ding played the calm line here, castling simply, and now knight to f6. We have d3, d6, c3. It's a little bit slow build-up sort of with preparations finally to play the move d4 because we have already castled, so knight to e4 wouldn't then work because you get this very annoying rook to e1. The king is still in the center, so here first Magnus tried h6 to prevent some bishop to g5 ideas, which are also common in the Italian game. So here Ding tried rook to e1 finally and forcing Magnus finally to castle. Now Ding played the move h3, preventing also some pinning ideas by Magnus to finally get his goal through this move d4. But Magnus played also counterplay here with the move a rook to e8. So this idea is, of course, if Ding plays the move d4, then the e4 would a little bit weaken. Then, of course, this would be a double attack on this e4 pawn. So that's why here Ding first defended this pawn with knight to d2. If you try here, for instance, to chase the bishop, to get rid of maybe of the bishop pair, bishop to b5, maybe a6, bishop to a4, b5 is a possibility. But now bishop to c2 is a possibility here for white, so the game would transpose into a similar position like in the Rui Lopez from an Italian game, with now finally preparations to play the move d4 or even a4 is the possibility. So here chasing the bishop, I think, is not such a powerful idea. It seems maybe that the bishop could be trapped, then black could continue the game with the bishop here, but so far it's not a possibility. a6, here we have a4 by Ding, bishop to e6, and now bishop takes e6. I've seen many times Magnus also playing here f takes e6, queen to b3 seems like a dangerous idea, but black in some occasions then has the potential d5 pawn breakthrough possibility, has really a central pawn storm. But in the game, Magnus tried the move rook takes e6, keeping the position still compact. And in the game b4 played by Ding, we have bishop to a7 and now queen to c2. Finishing the development, still we have to move somewhere the bishop. The bishop's activity of white is of course not good. The bishop's activity of black is much more better. There are maybe some tactical threats around this square f2. In the game, queen to d7 was played, and now knight to f1 with preparations to play knight to e3 or bishop to e3 and then cement the weak squares in black's position, and they are of course here the d5 and f5. So this is the main goal of this Italian setup, to get maybe a knight there on d5 on an f5. These are the targets which you should attack here in black's position. On the other hand, maybe white has the weak f4 pawn, f4 square, pardon me, here with potential knight to h5, knight to f4 is also sort of a position idea for black. In the game, that's why d5, Magnus is not allowing this game to be static. If Ding manages to get this knight to f5, it could be really dangerous. In the game, bishop to e3 was played, and now bishop takes, knight takes e3. And if you try here to get some kind of a pawn breakthrough, it's not, I think, such a powerful idea. We can simply take, knight takes after maybe knight takes, pawn takes, we could play knight to c4, and here we would have then a 4 versus 3 situation on the king side. So white would proceed here with clear ideas to get this pawn roll here with some e5 or f5 ideas. So that's why here in the game, after the move knight takes e3, Magnus tried here the move knight to e7, preventing some knight to f5 ideas by Ding Liren. That's why here a5, keeping the position on the queen side locked. So basically we have here the two knights on the king side. We want to make something happen here, but this is really equal position. I don't think that white has gained too much of an advantage here as white. So if you play this game really correctly, I don't think that white has such a powerful position. Maybe the position most of the times ends in a draw. But here in the game after a5, Magnus tried to play on his idea to cement the knight on f4, trying to get this pawns rolling somehow. In the game g3, you see Ding is also preventing this idea, and now rook to d8, because that's the only file that could get opened here. That's why this rook to d8 is of course a natural move. Now there is maybe this positional threat e takes d4 after d takes e4 and d takes e4, then the queen and the rook are building a perfect battery here on the d file. So king to g2, improving the position of the king because this h3 pawn was also a little bit loose. Queen to c3, now finally with our ideas maybe to get this d4, even because now the queen has also played a dangerous discovered attack on the queen on c2. In the game knight to f5, finally Ding gets his plan, and now we have knight to e7, again challenging the knight. Knight takes, rook takes e7, and now c4, really trying to get this position locked, get this position closed. And in the game d takes e4, we have d takes e4, and now queen to e8, played by Magnus, protecting his pawn. And now our main idea is again to play the battery with the rooks on the d file. So in the game rook to d1, we have c5. This is, I think, maybe a move that Ding Liren missed, because I think after the move c5 here, black is slightly better. Okay, you can take d takes c5, but now there are again new clear targets in white's position. These are the two double pawns. They're really weak, and basically there are not so many pieces with which you can defend these pawns. You cannot play rook to d5 because the knight is covering that square. So basically you will lose this pawn on c5, and Ding tried to counterplay again with the same positional idea to place this knight on f5. Here rook takes c5. The problem now in Ding's position is that this is a weakness, so Magnus has a much better position here. Magnus has a much healthier pawn structure, which is not something that you should take care of in the position. Here these two weaknesses are really tough one to defend. Here in the next move we can even double up rooks on the d file. In the game knight to f5, we have rook to d7, played by Magnus. Rook takes, queen takes, and now rook to d1. We have queen to c7, and now rook to d6. Rook takes c4, and here Magnus has, I think, a completely winning position. At least I think the evaluation is something like +1 maybe here for black. And here Ding played queen to d3, and now comes the critical moment of the game. Here Magnus plays really a mistake. He plays the move king to h7. This is really a bad move. The problem is that you have this knight, as I said, on f5, and there are some tactics with some moves. Rook takes f6. The better move here, instead of king to h7, is to play rook to c3, attacking the queen, really keeping the queen occupied. Queen to d2, then again maybe trying to get the queen attacked. But in the game Magnus played really a mistake. Queen takes h7, and now Ding pull off some great tactics. Rook takes f6, we have g takes f6, and now queen to e3. And in this position Magnus resigned. So what a mistake by the world champion. There's nothing you can do. If you try to escape with your king, you get simply queen takes h6. You will be checkmated. If you try here to get the queen somehow, the same idea will happen. Queen to g7. You cannot protect it, and after this move, as I said, a queen to e3, Magnus resigned. Unbelievable mistake. I'm not sure what happened. This is now really interesting. We'll see how Magnus will continue now in the match game, because Magnus has only played a draw in the first game. Now Ding is a whole point in front of Magnus. We'll see what will happen. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games so far with some more Magnus Carlsen, Ding Liren, Fabiano Caruana games, and many, many more. And you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.